Kevin, I'm here. Are you ready? Kevin will probably join here shortly. Okay, I'm back. Eric Sanner, good to see you, man. The 24-hour ChatGPT-a-thon continues. I am about to go into a Zoom meeting to talk about ChatGPT. Kyle, have you slept at all? I did. I took a nap between 11 and midnight. I took a nap between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. and now I'm at work. So I'll be turning the live on and off, but I'm doing a Zoom call right now. And you're going to get to hang out on the Zoom call. Good morning, Lauren. What's happening? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So feel free to share this, but I am going to be essentially ignoring you, but I will have the people that I'm talking to. I'm going to move the Zoom window over in front of where ChatGPT is right now. Happy birthday to ChatGPT. Share the live if you'd be so kind. We just had a bunch of people in here, and then I canceled and went out, and it looks like a bunch of people are joining again. Welcome, everybody. My name's Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. Let me see if Kevin Clark is around. On when ready and TikTok is live. Okay, this is going to be weird. I'm going to move the people I'm talking to over in front of this camera, but I'm going to be talking to my camera up there. So, because it's just, there's no other way I could arrange it. Oh, man. ChatGPT birthday. It is ChatGPT's birthday. Thank you, Lauren. Happy birthday. Happy ChatGPT birthday. Oh, man. Man alive. Do we have... It's been newsy. And it just looks like Stability AI just made a big announcement on Twitter that they're moving to some sort of bigger subscription model, that if you're going to develop on their shit, you have to pay them, which I think is interesting. Interesting. Haha, you love your wife. I do. Hello again, Edson. How are you? Wow, we got 70 people in here. Welcome. So my name's Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. I'm about to go live to talk about the 1-year anniversary of ChatGPT on a group that I belong to. Cindy Kuhn, who's in here. Dang, didn't get a notice. Oh, Lunashtick. Dang it. Kyle, are you addicted to live streaming? It's okay if you are. No, I'm doing a 24-hour ChatGPT-a-thon. But it's okay if you are. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I'm just doing because I make wise life decisions. I'm going live as much as I can in 24 hours. I've got work to do. I'm running a company, so I do have work to do. All right, let me see. Here's Kevin. Hello, Kevin.
Hey.
I'm going to put you in a little window off to the side here, so I'll keep talking to you.
All right, that's fine.
But I'm putting the Zoom window live on the TikTok.
That's fine.
So we're getting some extended reach here for the Content Evolution New Lab. Extendo reach. And there's Cindy Kuhn.
Hi, friends.
Hey. And what was I going to say?
Meeting to be here today.
You what? Oh, you skipped a meeting?
I changed a meeting. No, I didn't skip. I messaged somebody and said, I have a very important meeting. I have to be at this time. Could we please reschedule?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
There you go. Sounds good. I'm gonna
mute myself for a second.
Hello, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. That's a good post on Forbes.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's an interesting perspective when you think about the whole concept of, as I called it, AI for everyman or AI for the masses.
Yeah, I agree.
It went that way.
I was just talking to somebody. I said the Asimov's, Three Rules of Robotics. When you read, the novels, it's always, one robot and one human and a dilemma, that you have in the conflicts. And I said, the conversation is simply shifting. It's the same problem, but it's shifting from I to we. It's not I robot, it's we robot. All right. It's the scale of augmentation interaction. Anyway, it'll be fun. I'm going to start recording. Yeah.
Where's Mike? I hear him. I don't see him.
Yeah, he's coming.
There he is. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Tim.
Yo, Mike.
Hey, Andrea. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Mike.
Cindy.
Hey, Cindy. Hey,
Hi,
Kevin.
Andrea.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Tim.
Hey.
I'm going to get going here. I'm going to start recording. Stand by.
Recording in progress.
Greetings, everyone. It is the birthday of ChatGPT, the 30th of November, and we're delighted to have you with us. Mike, my co-host, is here on the West Coast. How are you?
I'm well. How's everybody doing today?
Doing great. So I'm glad that we can come together. We have a special guest, one of our own team members, Kyle Shannon, who's our Chief Generative Officer for Content Evolution, and he's the CEO of Storyvine. Delighted to have you with us, Kyle. And you have some other people who are participating via TikTok. So explain the bridge.
I do. So here's what's going on. I have my TikTok channel, as every good 58-year-old influencer should have. and so because I make good life decisions, I decided to do a 24-hour ChatGPT-a-thon to go live on TikTok as much as I could for 24 hours. So it started last night. And so off to my right, like right now, I'm looking at the TikTok. There are 75 people on the TikTok. So we've got an extended reach, and Cindy's on the TikTok as well. So let me get rid of the notice there. So wave to everybody. You're waving to 75 people out on AI Learning Lab land. So I'll be talking to you here, but they'll be watching you over here. So if it looks like I'm looking weird occasionally, it's because I'm managing that. But anyway.
No weirder than normal.
Yeah, exactly.
You have been multimodal for decades. What can I say?
Exactly.
So this is just de rigueur for Kyle Shannon. So glad to have all of you. Kyle, why don't you just give us, and then Mike and I'll chime in, we're going to go to the larger group, is give us a point of view about what has happened in the last year, because reality has changed a little bit. And I value your perspective because you've really done a deep dive. I've been looking more at this at where's the training data sets coming from, and the governance issues.
Yep.
But you've been in the trenches actually using the technology really well. By the way, I feel like I'm a pretty good prompt engineer now.
Yeah, you're not bad.
Thank you, sir.
Well, you're welcome. And I think anyone who's good with words, is at an advantage with all this stuff. Okay, so for the past year, so for me, the significance of ChatGPT and the reason that, the reason it's worth, in my opinion, celebrating the birthday of ChatGPT is that I think that it actually marks the inflection point of a shift from machine learning and AI for researchers and scientists to generative AI being available to the rest of us, basically, to business. And it's a very similar shift that the World Wide Web did to the internet, where the internet had been around for decades, and then all of a sudden the World Wide Web comes along and it makes it simple enough to just click on a hyperlink and anyone can make a website, and it democratized that powerful tool. So ChatGPT for me marks that inflection point. And I find it remarkable that a year into ChatGPT having this, incredibly large lead, that no real competitors have showed up yet. You've got Anthropic's Claude is close, but it's kind of like a little bit better than ChatGPT 3.5. You've got Google threatening to release Gemini, which they haven't, but their Bard thing is almost as good as ChatGPT 3.5. There are 8 or 9 major players that have some version. Amazon just announced Q, which is apparently almost as good as ChatGPT 3.5. Grok is apparently launching this week. I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk launches it today, just to mess with Sam Altman, but we'll see. But apparently it's almost as good as ChatGPT 3.5. So one thing I find astounding is that they still have this seemingly insurmountable lead. Someone will catch them at some point. So then they have all this, and then, a week ago, out of nowhere, this company that's flying so high just has absolute flipping chaos. They fire Sam Altman, the CEO, and then they try to unfire him, and then they bring in, Emmett Shear, to be the new CEO, and now Sam's going to go to Microsoft. There was all that drama that happened. It now looks like they've kind of righted the ship, and OpenAI is going to survive. I think it was quite clear that OpenAI would not have survived that transition, and it would have become a wholly owned Microsoft effort, basically. So they figured out a way to salvage the OpenAI with the nonprofit mission and the profit mission, which is fascinating. So that's just on sort of the business, like the tech business side of things. It's just fascinating dynamics all around. Then on the what the tool actually is side, the capability of ChatGPT from when it launched a year ago. So if you go to ChatGPT right now, if you go to chat.openai.com and put it in ChatGPT 3.5 mode, that's essentially the ChatGPT that launched last year. And if you've got access to ChatGPT 4 mode, comparing what ChatGPT 4 can do to what ChatGPT 3.5 can do, they're just like night and day. The quality of what it generates is different. It can do advanced data analysis. It can read images. It can see images. It can create images with DALL-E 3. The mobile application of ChatGPT, you can put it in voice mode, so you can actually now have a conversation with ChatGPT. And then they also just launched these things called GPTs, which I think is brilliant branding, by the way. They didn't call them bots, they called them GPTs, so they're going to own that term like Xerox owns copiers and Kleenex owns tissues. They're going to own GPT. And what those are is basically the democratization of very sophisticated application development, where anyone can make a GPT. It sort of goes beyond no code into the realm of you can just talk in English what you want your application to do, and it will do all the prompting for you, and it will build this thing for you. And you can share those GPTs with other people. And at some point here shortly, they're going to be launching a GPT store, which is likely the equivalent of the Apple App Store. And lots of businesses were built on the Apple App Store. So I think this idea of the democratization, the sort of casualization of application development is probably one of the bigger things that's happened in ChatGPT in the past year, and it's like 3 weeks old, right? So still very early, still very janky, but that's what's been going on. And just the other thing that I'm, I guess, taking it down to the human level, one of the things that I'm seeing on my TikTok channel is there's a vibrant community forming around this idea of generative AI. And what I'm seeing consistently are people who were retired, kind of unretiring, people who might have been stuck in a job completely reinventing themselves, software engineers turning into artists. I just see, for the people that are embracing this technology, it's augmenting who they are and what they enjoy in unexpected ways. And there's kind of a joy happening for people that I'm working with and interacting with on a regular basis. As they're embracing this thing, it's just like things are coming to life for them. And that I find, I think that's unexpected for me, because I think where my head was these tools are going to, ruin people's lives, and they're going to lose their jobs, and it's going to disrupt everything. And there's a lot of press about the negative impact of this. But there's this subtle reinvention thing happening where I think there's so much opportunity for people to reinvent themselves, their businesses, things like that there's an energy to this that I haven't experienced since the mid-90s with the early days of the World Wide Web. So with that, I'll shut up.
Okay, well, Kyle, that was really good. Couple of observations. Back to GPTs for a moment. We were working in the Content Evolution collab on developing capabilities, and it would take a week or so, maybe a couple of weeks, and we would understand what we want to do, and we'd use Zapier, we'd use a Google form, and we would kind of automate a process and so on and so forth.
Yep.
And it was pretty cool what we were doing. But like you said, all the things that we were doing there that were already kind of amazing because you were using generative AI can manifest now in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and can manifest in 10 minutes in an even more powerful way. So
Right.
One of the things we were trying to do in Colab was use the data that Content Evolution had produced as a knowledge base. And in order to do that, we had to set up LangChain and things like that. And we had an outside technical consultant helping us trying to set that up. Well, now you can just do that in one of these GPTs. So not only can you produce this app that does amazing things, you can produce this app that is trained on your data, right? Which is one of the things people have asked me about for the past year. If they don't know about ChatGPT, almost always the first thing they ask me is, well, can I put my data in there? It's like the natural instinct is, I want this thing to understand who I am or what I'm about. And that's now just instant, and it's a part of it and free.
So
well, $20 a month.
The pace of change that we were experiencing, from pre-internet, by internet, 50 years old next year, right? So
Wow.
that's an interesting thing to
Yeah.
notice and take note of. So 50 years there, web manifests and it becomes more accessible to people. So first, thank you, Vince Cerf, then thank you, Tim Berners-Lee, and everybody else who contributed.
Yep, and that's 30 years ago.
That was a lot of logarithmic, right, change. This really does live up to the phrase exponential, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. And I think it, I was talking about this on the live last night. One of the things that feels like it's the biggest shift to me is that how we've used computers, essentially since all of us have been alive, is we have been trained by technologists that we have to change how we interact with computers based on how they want to interact, right? If we want to make a computer do what we want it to do, we have to learn the computer language that computer understands. And then we have to talk in this very particular way. And we have to think about logic. Like, if someone does this, then what happens? Well, then that happens, or then that happens. And we've had to interact with computers in a way that we've had to adapt to them. And what generative AI does is flips that completely around, and now we can just say, hey, computer, I want you to do this, and it does it, right? Now,
Yeah, but can I just interject?
Yeah, please.
Here? Because something was said early by Kevin that's, I think, important. How you actually create or write a prompt is a language question in my mind.
it is.
Because you just said, you can just state, a question, which is basically true. But to get the maximum out of your AI experience, you really have to ask it in a way that it understands it. And I just wanted to interject that one particular point, because what Kevin talked about and made that term as a prompt engineer, that's actually become a whole new category for a career for people.
Yep, it absolutely has. We are quickly moving though. There are hints of what's coming in ChatGPT-4 right now. So if you use its data analysis tool, Code Interpreter, you basically just give it a goal, and then it starts writing and executing its own Python code and checking its results. And if it doesn't get a good result, it tries again, and it's sort of talking to you the whole way through it. So it's prompting itself on your behalf. And so I think there's sort of two modes here. I think right now the current tools require prompt engineering to get the most out of them. I absolutely agree with that. I think if you want to be in development, in software development, this will still be a key skill moving forward. But I think for the masses, for the rest of us, these tools are going to get increasingly autonomous, where we just give them goals and they will go out and figure out how to do all the prompting on their own. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. Mike, jump in.
Yeah, I mean, as Tim sparked this thought, I was thinking, that as loosely as the term writer or part of my job is writing, what struck me is with the first couple hours I played with 4 is I'm not a writer anymore. I used to think that was cool. You're an important part of me. With tools like this, I'm an editor.
Yeah.
Right, you're a refining editor. This is very much, I gotta go back because it's what I know. You would often be working with multiple editors as a kid journalist.
Right.
But there was usually one or two who weren't just, this is how you structure the story, you're missing this fact. It would be, that's nice, you're still too passive in this section. Right? And so it's actually going to turn, as I said, I think the task of writing outside of truly original fiction and original reporting, I guess, we're editors now. And I think that's, Tim, what you were talking about is not, I don't have to learn a specific set of constructed things like I did when I was trying to figure out basic programming.
Sure.
For these very narrow concepts. But I do have to have enough insight and intelligence to say, that's close, that's not exactly my voice, but I'm more concerned about change these two things and add this in. Right. So again, it's an iterative process. Yeah, I think that's, Kyle, I think where a lot of people are still kind of flummoxed was, oh my God, it responded back to me in natural language like a human being. And I think that was the first 8 months.
Yeah.
Right, was everybody's like, oh, wow, okay, I can generate. And this is where I was along for the last several months. I've been, okay, what's the implication for this for marketing or for sales? It's like, oh my God, it's going to get worse.
Or better.
They're just going to be doing it faster. More shit, excuse my language, faster all the time.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm still kind of stuck there, right? Because I'm not sure what Mark Benioff thinks Einstein is. What did he call it recently? Not the safe. Did he call it the safest? No, he didn't. It was something. And, as far as I know, it's been 2 years since I talked to him. I don't know how many people in the, Salesforce Marketing Cloud customer base are actively using Einstein on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't know. And it's right now our primary interaction with these tools is with text, and now they're sort of going multimodal. They're not really doing video yet, but they are doing voice. So you can now have a conversation with ChatGPT. Yeah. And HeyGen just released their new avatar tool where you can upload 3 minutes of video of yourself, and it turns it into an avatar that synthesized your voice and the video that you put up there. So you can now just type in a script, and it will be you talking on video. And so the distance between that and being able to interact with that avatar in real time we're within months of that bizarre interaction that you're having just as ChatGPT, feeling like a remote employee or like a really well-educated intern that you're interacting with remotely. Yeah. It's going to shift very, very quickly to you're going to be interacting with these things in real time that are just,
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if everybody saw the link that Kevin sent out last week. My former employer, one of their keynotes about AI and a couple others. And it struck me as we talk about this iterative process, and now we have to be editors as we're using these tools. I think pretty much in any role we have. Where do we see? The first bottleneck I see is management. And not because they're scared about losing their jobs. Like, I'm going to be generating so much stuff so quickly, and it's going to be pretty good.
Yep.
If we now managers are going to have to come up with their own ChatGPTs, to say, okay, edit it with this, my approach to editing or reviewing these docs.
Yeah. Process it for me. Yeah.
Process is going to kill us.
Even more important than that, I just had a conversation with a financial institution recently, and Kyle, I have kind of an open invitation to give them a briefing right in the first quarter. I'm going to invite you.
Great.
But they haven't touched generative AI because of the FINRA and other regulations around their computer systems.
Yep.
And they have no clue what's going on. They can't bring anything that they do at home, to work. And it's kind of like, you guys are in trouble, right? And what it turns out is, I did some quiet inquiries. The industry is in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Because there is, no way for them to do an implementation inside, right, and feel confident, relative to their Securities and Exchange Commission, their FINRA, all the they're highly regulated, right?
Yeah.
And so they put a force field around this and say, you can't use this technology.
Right.
Oops, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Cindy, I bring you into the conversation to acknowledge that Cindy is another chief officer. She is our chief media officer for Content Evolution, and she is a faithful participant in Kyle's generative sessions in CoLab. Cindy, join us.
So I have 3 quick things I have to say before I get to my point based on things that were just said. First of all, Mike, I'm a writer too, and in this process, I haven't considered myself an editor. And instead, I've been considering myself a curator. So I say that as a distinction because I'm not exclusive and I don't have loyalty to one AI. And I have to curate across all of the different AI to determine what's the best service for what I'm trying to make happen, number one. And then when it comes, I'm not really editing so much yet at this point. A little, but honestly, it's like I'm working with an artist and I say, yes, last time we had a conversation, we talked about this whole thing having more blues. Good job. But what I really meant was more ocean blue. And so as also a trained artist, I really see what I'm doing as I'm curating the artist that I'm partnering with, which is whichever AI. So I just want to throw that out.
Partnering, I get. I think the one thing, because words matter, is with the notion of being a curator, there's a certain distance you're putting between yourself and the output. All right?
Sometimes depends on how you collaborate.
Hear me out. And I think this is why, clarity and transparency. I still haven't come up with what I want to put on my Substack about what I'm using AI, which so far the posts I put up there were all me.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't, the early version was kind of clever for doing an outline. I don't consider that. That's anybody can do an outline. It did a good job. Give me right. But what I'm saying with the sense of when you say curator, you are putting a certain distance between I just collected this stuff and put it out there. Or, my favorite, I'm just asking questions. Here's the question. And I think, and I'm not saying putting it down so much, I think we need to think about that, right? Because that notion of curation can free us to a degree to say, it was kind of cool output. I was just curating this. And this gets down to that point of identifying transparency and identifying.
I do. I think it's your background and my background. So, as somebody trained in the creative field and someone who's done a lot of curation in my life, I think it involves way more collaboration than you imagine. And I don't think there's any curator at any space anywhere who would say they aren't responsible for the output. So, I would say it's far more collaborative than editing. To me feels like I'm doing it by myself, and I actually don't feel like I'm doing it by myself.
Oh, no,
Collaboratively.
Absolutely. And I'll rethink this, because editing isn't right, because it was, in my experience, when I was working with an editor or another reporter who had more experience than I did, it was a collaborative process. And it was a personal decision, at which point did I say, Tim really helped me out with that 10-minute conversation about X and Y before I put this together. Geez. Yeah. Hey, Tim, you want a co-buy line on this? Or you just want a contributor's line at the bottom? Right? I'm old school language there, apologies. But and this is where I think I think it is important what we put on our things that we put out there, where we use the tool.
Yeah,
not just, hey, I used some of this and some of that.
Right.
A little more detail, right? Because you can see that in the way we as humans want to see an attestation of the provenance of something, right? You've seen, if you look at the way bios now are on most publications, they're way more expansive than they used to be, right? And there's way more information in there about what this reporter at this place, at the New York Times, is doing and has been doing. So I'm done.
I just want to throw my thoughts out on that.
I think you're right. We have to there's something there. I think overall, we're curating writ large. When we put our name on it, then I think we have to say, what
will our language be? Yeah.
I don't know.
So a couple other things in that. I just wanted to say, Kevin, to your point about the financial, in 2027, I am with the Applied Futures Lab and the Threat Casting Lab at ASU, and we put out for the Secret Service a threat casting report on the future of digital financial crimes and what happens when we no longer have paper currency. And the alignment with everything you just said, I just thought instantly, oh my God, I got to share that report with this group, because it's like a foreshadowing. Not really, because we all knew this, but it's great to sort of see. It's like, yep. And then I want to get to the point of why I even wanted a question, which was to share with those who aren't as familiar with how GPT in particular is working and how you can make your own GPTs right now. I wanted to emphasize that even more, especially for the CE folks who are trying to figure out how to, efficiency in business all the way around. If you have not built yourself a GPT for your company, which if you're not in 4 already, please go get on the wait list. Yep. They're going to open it again, but get yourself on the list. It's closed right now because of the chaos.
Well, what was it again? What?
ChatGPT. Get over OpenAI. Get yourself on the list so that when they're starting to issue the $20 a month chat.
Oh, yeah.
It's available.
Because it's closed right now.
Yeah.
It's closed, but just get on the wait list. So
get on it.
Here's what I just want to express, and this is why you guys got to go follow Kyle all the time. So because he's teaching on these nightly TikToks, and it has twice a month salons, how to do all these things. So you don't have to go figure this out. There's a giant community that has come together. Just come meet up with all of us. We're already doing all this. You don't have to figure this out on your own. Here's what I wanted to say though, for everyone in CE. We don't know how this is going to go with building your own GPTs.
Yep.
So I cannot encourage everyone enough. If this ends up going like the App Store, you want your name now.
Yep.
Get over there and build yourself a GPT as soon as you gain access with your business name. So as an example, I've built about 10 GPTs to this point, and I'm training them with my own content. A couple of them are public. I've shared them out, and I can share them out further. You can go and play with my GPTs. They are the Applied Futurist and the Threat Casting Analyst. And they're being loaded with my reports, my books, my content. I'm training them. I'm working with them to get them to work with me first. But will that ever be out in the public to everyone to go and use mine? I don't know.
Yeah.
But am I going to be ready if that does happen? Hells to the yes.
Yep.
So I really, really want to impress upon this entire community. Go get your name. Build a GPT so you own it. That's number one. And then second, Kyle talks about this a lot. We're not going to have time to get into it today, but if you're not in GPT and once you get in there, make yourself a note today. When you gain access, one of the first things after you just play in basic, get into the custom instructions. Go watch a video or ask chat itself, how do I use custom instructions? Actually, it'll just tell you how to do it. There's a sidebar you can fill. Why is that so important? Because you can load it with the things that benefit your business. Quick example. When you go to my applied futurist GPT, it's focused on future casting. So if you try to ask it something about dystopian futures, it'll go, oh, come on. Dystopias for third graders, that's easy. We're going to stay focused on protopias. But if you're really into like threat futures, here's a link to the threat casting book.
Yep.
Go get more for yourself.
Yep.
So I'm not losing those potential people. I'm just sending to another app of my business. So I just, and I do that throughout. So I have custom instructions and then I have back end on my GPTs that are deeper, that do things like if somebody asks a question, I make sure they always reference me, my team, my partners as the experts, as the go-to, go to their books, go to their websites. So it's loading completely so that if this ever does go super public, we're the leaders in this.
Yep.
And that's what I wanted to express.
Let me just jump in really quick. Someone on TikTok asked, where do I get on the wait list? So if you go to chat.openai.com, that's ChatGPT. That's the official ChatGPT website. Just go there and start playing and just sign up for the wait list there for access to ChatGPT Plus is what you want to get on the wait list for. So yeah, that's awesome, Cindy. I mean, I would agree. And, you know, I think that creating these GPTs, I think using it as a marketing tool is really, really brilliant because, you know, there's a lot of talk always in marketing about deliver value first, right? Deliver value first and then sell your stuff after. With these GPTs, you can absolutely do that. You can put into your potential customers' hands a tool that they can interact with and ask questions of and you know, kick ideas around future casting with that tool. And then, you know, the ability to just say, now, if you want to talk more, reach out to me. I think that's brilliant. And I think even if these GPTs don't end up going mainstream and it doesn't become the App Store, just the process of experiencing what it's like to be able to informally create an incredibly powerful application is it's just a different experience than, you know, I'm not a programmer, but I know enough about programming to appreciate what it takes to make even a mediocre application, right? And with this tool, you can essentially just talk into existence, you know, a deeply powerful tool that is specialized to the thing that you want to talk about. So, yeah, fully reinforce what you were saying, Cindy.
Fantastic. So I'm Doug Hulin has been with us, and Doug, I'll apologize. You had a pretty interesting panel yourself yesterday that I was unable to attend. I hope there's a playback for it.
Yeah, there will be. It was on AI, human hallucination and AI hallucination. And we had Dr. Harvey Castro, who's a medical doctor and written books on AI and medicine, and then some doctors of neuroscience.
Well, please don't hallucinate today. Be lucid for us today. All right.
I'm getting old and confused. I thought that was what was happening today, so I love to see the recording.
Yeah, and I'll send it out when that's available. But it was a great talk, and you know, just exploring what hallucination is, and you know, both from a human perspective. In fact, I put it into the chat. I was also on another call talking about media and AI. You know, and there was a person from the BBC looking at AI and AI, using AI for their news reporting. And there's a media organization that has put out a 10-step guide on integrating AI into, how should media people and authors think about how to use AI as a tool, right? And this challenge of hallucination, but this ability to just create a vast amount of content. And I one of my favorite books is The Information, A History, a Theory, a Flood by James Glick. And, all this vast information out there. And he wrote this, 10 years ago. And now there's, what we thought was big 10 years ago, it's just amazing. And though the question is how can we have accurate data, right? Accurate information. And this will be the challenge. And, like the different, like large language models, like Claude 2.1 came out, and they said there's twice as good at reducing hallucinations and getting actual information.
Right.
So this is this race to how do you make sure that what you're creating is factual, is good information. Dave Sifry, and I'll put the link in there too. He has a company that has going back to this agent, where it acts as a researcher and it gives some really good information. So like for instance, I like looking at the term hallucination. In 2023, Boston or Cambridge Dictionary is the AI hallucination is actually hallucinations the word of the year in 2023. Huh. And so I asked Google Bard, when did AI hallucination become something? And they said, well, it was first coined in 2022, but then I used Dave's tool, and it was actually coined in 2002. By a researcher. And I tried to look at it and do so. And I don't know if you use Bard, but what you can do is click on it and say, okay, tell me the things that you think are more factual and less factual. And you get green if you think it's more factual, more precise. And, it was green saying it was coined in 2022, but actually it was coined in 2002.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be an issue. I'll tell you just a funny thing. Merriam-Webster's word of the year is authentic. So if one of them is hallucination and the other one is authentic, there's something there. I think authenticity is going to be big moving forward.
If I can just tell, I'm wondering how much this matters, because the here's a joke that I heard. That Obama and Trump get into a foot race. And it's going to be, and Trump is talking about how great it's going to be and how he's going to, do so well. And then they have the foot race, and what happens, obviously. And so Trump posts afterwards. He said, "Man, this was a great race. I came in second, and Obama came in next to last."
It's all about shaping the narrative, right?
But both of those are true statements.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea of when we're talking about truth and what is real and what is hallucination, it so much depends on point of view. And I don't subscribe to the information overload and all this kind of stuff. I subscribe to it matters in the context of whatever your context is. And that if you want to protect the U.S., certain things matter in certain ways. If you want to protect China, certain things matter in certain ways, or don't, et cetera, et cetera. And it's we get hung up on what is true and real and not real. It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, critical thinking is absolutely critical. That's probably the number one thing you need to teach young people.
That's a tautology right there.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm interested in your perspective, Doug, about how is the infrastructure part helping or hurting in terms of access, right? Because if Tim Beharan, who was with us earlier on the call, he's still on, but wrote something about AI being very helpful in terms of making us augmented and more superhuman, but only works if you're connected. It only works if you have access, right? So where are we right now? You're kind of a infrastructure.
Yeah, the good news is
expert.
in 2022 we reached 5 billion people that had a smartphone.
Wow.
And like in 2002 we had 1 billion people that had just a cell phone. So we reached that, and like I have this blog going, is when do we reach 1 billion of something? So next year I think 1 billion people will using AI at least 30 minutes a day and saving at least 30 minutes a day, that they can get an agent to say, I want to do X, and you do that, and I come back and I fact check you, I critical, but it gives me value of at least 30 minutes a day.
But if I'm looking at the population in general, is it fair to say that 3/5 of the people on the planet have access and 2/5 are, disenfranchised right now?
Well, since 5 billion people have a smartphone, the ability to have AI, like Pi, for instance, is free, and it's a voice activated right now. The question
is 5 billion out of what, 8.5?
8 billion. Actually, a fun fact is in November of 2022, we reached 8 billion people on the planet. At the same time, generative AI, ChatGPT was launched.
Okay.
In the month.
So my fraction is slightly off, but there are
8
3 billion people
there's
who
kids,
not have access.
people,
Take out 1 billion kids who were under the age of whatever 3 or 5. Say that's 1 billion, and then that's a huge percentage. That's like 5 out of 7 now. That gets to be a big percentage of people who have access.
Yeah, well, 1 billion people don't have access to electricity. In fact, more people have a cell phone than they do have electricity.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out that talking about gaps. This because it's exponential. We just said this is exponential technology. The ability to leave a percentage of humanity in the dust, okay, is problematic. Okay. We should be talking about some of this in human rights territory, all right, as opposed to just it would be interesting if we could eventually get to them, right? Because the people who are augmented versus those who aren't, okay, is going to be a very bright dividing line. Yep. Going forward, but I'll stay on the positive side, all right, for the purposes of birthday celebration. Right? Okay.
But Kevin, can I just add to that?
Yeah, come on in.
It's not just that people that we're leaving in the dust because they don't have the stuff, because many of the people who don't have it still know about it and are aspirational and will eventually get it. The interesting problem is that people are choosing to be left in the dust. They're choosing to be non-enhanced, and they're thinking that somehow it's better to be an unenhanced human than to be an enhanced human. And I see these as, I see this as a positive growth, and that it's evolution, and there's nothing we can do about it because we're all going to be that way eventually. It's a new body part. But a lot of people don't see it that way, and that to me is a bigger issue.
But that's Mark, that's every technological advancement in the history of man is met with the exact same response, which is fear and trepidation and resistance. We don't like change, and this is just another one of those. But this one's more intense because the capability of it is so profound, and the speed that it's moving it's not like anything I've ever seen. So I think the resistance is normal, but the for those people resisting, the amount of sort of impact it's going to have on them very quickly, I think, is
if you
hard.
wanted to be a Luddite, though, all right, there was actually a factory to go, mess up, right? Take an axe to.
Yeah.
There is no axe, all right, to take to this tech, right? There's no central point, to do anything.
And the government will regulate it.
Well, totally. But my perspective, I totally agree with what Kyle just said. But what's happening is that because this is moving so fast, faster than anything ever has, it's needs to get to the young people earlier and sooner, and that's the barrier that I see as happening, being prevented by often adults, by schools, by families, by cultures, by all these kinds of things. And so I really want to see how we can do that. And I'm open to suggest. I think that would be a great project for all of us to say, how do we create things, or is there something that we can create that would really make kids say, hell yes, I want to do this. And I don't know of any, but there may be, that there's, some site you can go on and suddenly you're a magician. Suddenly you're 100 times more powerful. That's not, that's specifically geared to you. I don't know if we could do that, but that'd be great.
Okay. So I'm going to invite, I see a comment in here from Alka Roy. Alka, you want to join us for a second about your perspective on AI hallucination? You there? Maybe you're not.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it's just such a interesting time in many ways as you're discussing this. And I put a question in for this team as well, because there seems to be just this real urgency for adoption. I feel that, a group of people are almost working for as a ChatGPT or OpenAI agent, like, oh, it's the best thing, you must adopt it. I think it's great to play with. I think it's wonderful to use, and but I think it's also important for us to bring, as someone else mentioned earlier, the critical thinking, like looking at the game behind the game and the layers behind it to understand what's happening, just like you would do with any marketing machine, right? So I think of ChatGPT's writing. I think Mike or somebody was talking about, editor, or someone was talking about being a curator as being a really, generating writing that's the marketing speak, the PR speak that we see, which means you have to really see what is real out of it, what is useful out of it, what makes sense in here. And the term AI hallucination, I offered an article. It's a little older, but it's really interesting. I think you should just take a read on it. Is that I don't think that we should have allowed the term AI hallucination to be used, because I think it legitimizes the problems that are underlying in this technology. Calling it a hallucination gives it some sort of a it sounds cool. it gets it legitimacy of some sort, whereas it's really incorrect. There are errors. That's a problem. Yeah. It's like calling someone's lies politician talk. Someone else gave an example of just, oh, that's political talk. But they're lies. Lies ought to be called lies. So I think that was my kind of comment on hallucination. I think
any
using
linguist will
ChatGPT
tell you that
I'll
if
stop
something
there, yeah.
becomes mimetic, right, is that you simply have to launch a sufficiently competitive meme to replace it.
I've got one.
You're not going to succeed in outlawing language, right? Yeah. It doesn't work. All right, there. You can certainly raise your hand. I see. Andrea Goldberg has some thoughts that she wants to share. Andrea, join us.
Let me just jump in. Let me just jump in for a quick sec.
Andrea.
Let me just jump in for a quick sec. So the potential counter to hallucinations. My nickname for ChatGPT is mansplaining as a service. It will confidently answer you, even if it's wrong. So you're welcome.
So
thanks for joining us. Yes, Andrea, please.
So one of my concerns is that those of us who were first learning ChatGPT learned the basics. So like if we're marketeers, we learned how to write marketing plans. We learned how to do the things, and now we have the ability when we get something back from ChatGPT to say this is garbage, curate, edit, whatever term you want to use. my biggest concern is to the extent the next generation of workers comes in and everything's done for them. You just speak. Are they going to have the ability to fully understand what they're getting back and what's quality and what's not quality? And I saw this personally when we first started, automating things and people started, writing, having things done for them. And I saw our analysts misinterpret data because they didn't realize that the program had lost 90% of the cases or, looked at the wrong cohort. And they took it and they ran with it. I think it's important. I don't want to say we shouldn't use the technology, but I think we have to think about what skill sets do we want to make sure that we don't lose along the way. People mentioned critical thinking, but what enables you to do the critical thinking is kind of experience doing some of these basic executions. So I wanted to bring that up.
If you do it and use the technology often enough and are met, the KPIs are telling me, that you're failing, okay? It doesn't work, right? You're going to lose your job, right? And there's going to be a consequence, right, to, using the technology poorly as opposed to enabling something that's spectacular. Mike, this is your territory, all right? You were, in this world, all right? And you can't be a good analyst or a good marketing person using this tech if you're using it, all right, in an unsophisticated way. You're just gonna you're gonna crash and burn.
I agree. Well, I see Andrea's point, and Andrea, I agree with you. And I think here again, what struck me was, what's going to protect that new worker, what's going to help that new worker get that experience, getting his or her ass kicked by their boss with that output.
Yep.
Right. That's how. And now, back to this thing. The more I think about it, this is really interesting. Managers who, as I think many of us have experienced in the last 10 or 15 years, have moved from, let's face it, more direct hands-on, and not because of the pandemic. This was happening before that. I don't need to talk to Andrea that much because I have this console over here that has all these KPIs and metrics that we have with Andrea. So I can just look at that. Hey, everything's great. Ooh, something's a little bit yellow. I guess I better talk to her this week. Right? With the ability to create and generate so much so fast, this is going to actually, I think, take management back to what they were doing more in the, when I started in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and at that point, which was, I'm going to have to actually talk to Andrew to make sure she understands exactly what that output did.
Yep.
And it's going to be no screens. Andrea, I want you to take your phone and turn it upside down on the desk. We're going to put both of our phones in the middle of the desk and we're going to talk. Because that's how it's, no matter what, that's still in the end. I have to feel, as your manager, I have to feel like, hey, it's cool she didn't know this tool that much and she's new in this industry. But boy, everything is looking pretty good. Great. More like that. Oh, wait. Andrea, you misinterpreted your input, your prompt showed a misunderstanding of what the new version of the product actually does. Let's talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to add more time. I think this is something, I think you heard Stuart Noyce and I a few months ago say, not only is it does stuff fast, but it's actually taking me longer because I got to vet try to figure out and triangulate where did this information come from, where did that. So, I'll be quiet.
I agree with you. And the corollary is when social media first came and people were assigning 25-year-olds to do all the social media, all the marketing, all the branding for their company, and they discovered those 25-year-olds didn't understand their brands, and didn't understand how to phrase things, and it was a disaster. They understood the technology, but they didn't have the basic understanding of marketing communications, and they got into some embarrassing situations. So I think we have to make sure that people understand the broader concept here, that, to your point, Mike, it's going to create a different type of management.
Well, so let me throw in a counter to this, Andrea, which is my nickname for one of the things going on right now is Revenge of the Gen Xers, which is I feel like if I were hiring someone right now, I would rather hire someone like yourself, someone that's got 20 or 30 years experience, or someone like Mike that has enough world experience and business experience that even if you don't have the skills with AI, you're going to have the skills to be able to look at the output of AI and say, oh, that's good, that's bad, and you're going to be able to know it like that. So I think that there's a superpower for older workers that might even be reinventing themselves or stepping back into the workforce. That they might not be experienced on the skills side, but that experience I think is going to be incredibly valuable.
And I would add to that, if I may, that the making those pairings of somebody like that with somebody young, and facilitating those pairings is a huge thing. Just like Jack Welch did at GE when he said that the young people will mentor an executive. But what I'm interested in, Andrea, is your assumption that we did this well before, that we were great critical thinkers before, and it isn't true. It isn't true. Some of us understand some things in some ways where there's no consensus about how we understand things. Obviously, we'd all be one thing. So I think it's much more important to experiment, and there'll be a lot of upheaval as people don't do the same, understand things in the way they did in the past and do the same things they way. But I think it's going to come out as, just as Kevin says, in the wash in terms of does it work? Do people accept this stuff? Who accepts it? Who at the level? It doesn't matter whether I don't think somebody's critically thinking in my definition of it. If it was all working in their world and doing this kind of stuff, it doesn't matter that I tried to teach my son, look people in the eye when you meet them, right? And that's a big part of life. And he wouldn't do it. He still doesn't do it. He looks people at the screen. And so that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Shut up, Mark.
Get on to Mac, right? Who has joined us. Mac, you have a question.
Not really a question, but a comment and follow up on Andrea. You take a system dynamics thinking approach to this. We have a generation of executives who are not seeing top-line growth, so they have to make their numbers by cutting expenses. And frequently it is the more senior and higher paid employee that gets cut.
Yep.
So in the situations that we're talking about, that manager that is meant to be coach and help make sure the information is correct, they're not going to exist. And then that problem gets set up where you have very inexpensive and perhaps younger talent that can't differentiate between what is accurate and what is confident. And I think that's the scenario we are setting up, and we're going to have to watch it carefully.
Okay. Very good. All right. We're coming up to the top of the hour, so I'm going to ask Mike, do you have any concluding comments? And then I'm going to move it to Kyle to give us his final thoughts.
No, what a great discussion, and thanks to everybody on Kyle's TikTok channel and everybody else who joined. The more as we went through that is something I think I'm going to be thinking a little bit about the next couple of days is, what does this mean to management process from a small to a large enterprise based on some of the things we discussed. But gosh, what a great discussion. Kyle, over to you.
Thanks. Fascinating discussion. And for me, the critical thinking piece that was referenced in a number of different contexts in the conversation, that to me feels like that is the skill of the future, and to some degree, that our ability to sort of look across disciplines and know that the machines are going to increasingly execute the tactical pieces. And what's required is, okay, what do I actually want to accomplish? What do I actually want to do? The other thing I would say is this. All of the conversations we're having today about the limitations of AI is a snapshot, where we are today. this stuff is moving so fast that what I would encourage you to do is get curious about these tools, interact with them, and even if you're of the mind like, well, it's not really ready for prime time now, check back in 3 months, because the amount of features that get added to these tools and just improvements that get added to these tools kind of that fly under the radar are dramatic. So if you're not actively engaging with them, you may miss that. So there might be something that actually solves your problem that comes along very, very quickly, and you sort of let it pass by for a year or two. There's going to be a lot of missed opportunities. So I would just say get curious. You don't have to love it, but I would say get educated about what these tools can do, where the current boundaries are, and what they're good at, what they're not good at, and then use your critical thinking to say, okay, here's the 80% I can use them for today, and the 20% I'll do the way I did it before, and just pay attention to that balance over time. So
yeah.
May I say one more thing?
Briefly.
Okay. Critical thinking, I think, is a wrong term. I think it's thinking. We had slow thinking, which is analytical thinking, and what some people call critical thinking. We have fast thinking, which is heuristic, that Kahneman pointed out. Now we have algorithmic thinking. It's all thinking. It all has to be integrated by all of us. And if you're not using one of the ways of thinking, I think that you're missing it.
Okay. And my thought as we blow out the candle on that single candle on top of the ChatGPT birthday cake is, when you first use this, it's actually fun.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're talking about now taking it, how are you going to use it? How is this? I would just suggest to you that anyone who is mildly put off by this, is just give an opportunity to use the one that you've already signed on to for a moment. Say, ask it to do something, right? Because the initial experience is, oh, that's remarkable, that's cool, right? Do you also get a little tingle that, oh, this is this is going to be big? Yeah, it is, right? But you should go ahead and try to expose people to the fun part initially. And if they can at least have that experience as a craft, right, the art and science comes later. So I would, just give somebody I did that with Heidi the other day. Heidi's my wife. And she goes, I didn't know you could do that. And it was the ChatGPT-4 now connected to DALL-E that you can ask it to make a picture, right? I mean, it's really cool.
It's amazing. Right?
Can I close this out with a Jerry Garcia quote, Kevin, about exactly what, linked to what you said? He was one of the first guitar players that was using digital effects built into his guitar, not a boatload of pedals. These are the things you guys see stomping on the stage. And one time, one of the songwriters, John Perry Barlow, came into the rehearsal studio, and Jerry was practicing, and he had a new MIDI set up where he's playing the guitar, but it sounds like a trumpet. Right? That's what it is. And the guy says, wow, man, wow, you could have been a really good trumpet player. And Jerry kept playing, looked at him and said, I'm a great fucking trumpet player right now. And that's exactly where he's able to say, to your point, I can make the sound like a trumpet with some of these effects with my strings on my guitar. I'm a terrible trumpet player because I'm not a very good guitar player.
Sure.
And so, I mean, that transference, I think, and adapting to that new thing, to where Jerry Garcia is a trumpet player, even though he never played it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of, I think, the joy you're talking about, the fun, right? Find that. At some point, fun is always going to be like dessert. So maybe we then get some fun and we learn, hey, wait a minute, because I just did something with it I sent to Kyle that I didn't think it could do.
Yep.
Exactly.
Right? Which is, once I programmed it, I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like me. And it went back and did another take.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. So sorry for the bad language.
Okay. No, that's
not to
right.
beat that out of 40.
Thanks everybody for being with us. If you were a guest today and you like the format of this particular call, let Kyle know, or you can write to ce@contentevolution.net, and we'll add you to the distribution list.
Yep.
So everyone, thanks so much for being with us for this special edition of Content Evolution New World. And in everything you do, be intentional. Kyle, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks
Cheers.
all. Cheers, everybody. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, ChatGPT.
Recording stopped.
All right. Well, there you have it. That was fun. All right. Let's see. How do I... All right, I can do a few more minutes here. Very cool. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for hanging out. There's a bunch of people in here that hung out watching a bunch of people pontificate about the future of AI. So thank you for hanging out. Let me go get my... Let's put ChatGPT back front and center. Happy birthday, ChatGPT. Let me flip this here. And do I have pictures open? No. Hang on. Photos. Let's see. Photos. Hang on one sec. All right. There we go. That's a good picture. We'll throw that picture there. That's a little happy birthday ChatGPT picture. Lovely, 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 lovely. All right, so I didn't have a chance to really... I saw a couple of comments fly through, but I was obviously having to pay attention to what was going on there. So if anyone has any questions, pop them in the comments. I know we've got some mods in here that can pop them up. This is... I'm doing 24 hours of a ChatGPT-a-thon. I'll have to leave occasionally to go do my day job running Storyvine. Is it possible to access the recording of this Zoom meeting? Yeah, so if you join the AI Salon, which is go to aisalon.mn, as in mightynetworks.co. If you're not a member of the AI Salon, join the Salon, and then the mods posted the links to the New World recordings in... I don't know where you posted them. Where did you post them? Probably in news. Is it difficult to learn prompt engineering? No. So especially with ChatGPT, well, actually all the large language models, I hate the term prompt engineering. I prefer the term prompt crafting. It's really just talking. The thing that I think will improve your prompt engineering the most, you said to post to news. Okay, great. So if you go to the AI Salon in the news channel, there's a link to the Content Evolution New World calls. So that Zoom call that we were just on, the recording of that will probably be up tomorrow or the next day. So the link to it's in the Salon though. Prompt articulation, prompt crafting. Here's the thing that shifted the biggest for me is that if you think about how you prompt Google, it's sort of this one prompt in, one prompt out. Thanks, Eric. aisalon.mn.co. You kind of have to get your prompt right to get back a good search result. What happens with large language models is it's much more like a conversation. So you can either get really good at prompt engineering, right, and figure out here's all the components of the prompt I need to make to give me the exact right output and and give it nested and format it and all that sort of shit. Or you can just start a conversation with ChatGPT. Hey, I'm trying to figure this out. Can you help? Sure, blah, 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 blah. And then you go back and forth with it and give it more and more context. So I would say the thing that will improve your prompting the most is just do it. Don't feel like you have to learn anything. Don't feel like you need to become a prompt engineer. If you're a human being with language, then you can interact with these things. Now, might people with an engineering mindset do it better? They might. I've got a creative writing mindset, and I do okay with prompting. Do I follow all of the rules and I tell it to act in this role and do this and give me the output like this, like prompt engineers do? No, I don't. Because I got ADD and I don't give a shit. I feel like any specific set of rules I learned today are going to be obsolete 3 months from now anyway, so why would I do that? So for me, it's just like, just start talking with these things. Broody Hen Digital Chicken said, you learn after a while. How do you learn? Go play. Don't try to solve your biggest problem right out of the gate. Like, do stupid shit. What meal can I make with the crap in my refrigerator? And with ChatGPT-4, you can take a picture of what's in your refrigerator and it will analyze it and then write you a recipe based on what it sees. So start playing. Just start playing. ChatGPT can now use images as prompts. So a good prompt might be the whiteboard session that you just had. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything at work. There's one thing I need to do. All right. So wait, what time is it? I'll do another 20 minutes here. I sent a card to Sam Altman with Close Enough. That's good. That's very good. Hopefully Close Enough was misspelled. Or I didn't see, it was tiny text, so you might have actually made that joke. They will become better at natural language. You mean computers, Pate? So Pate works at Google, so... The t-shirt rack. Just sent my request to join AI Salon. Okay, great. Let me go look over there. I don't know if anyone is letting people in, because it's invite only. So let me go look. All right. So people that were waiting to be let in, you are in. All right. Fantastic. Tell him what he's want. Well, you want a new car. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. By Jingus, it's a Mercury Topaz. It's a 1997 Mercury Topaz. That's free and clear. We've paid for all of the fees. We've paid for them all. And I'll tell you what, we're going to give you a $50 gift card to fill up your tank of gas with that Mercury Topaz. That's yours. That's free and clear. Good to go. You're going to have to pay the taxes. Okay, all right? Fantastic. We picked that up down at the Auto Trader, and it's a gem of a car. It still runs good. It's a lot of miles. It's a lot of miles on it. There's a smell of it's some sort of feline. It might be a feline kind of situation, or squirrels. But boy, it's a gem of a car. So you enjoy that. You just take it. You drive it wherever you want. It's probably good for about 50 miles before it overheats. But that Mercury Topaz, it'll just keep running and running. All right. Do you know how to use ChatGPT and DALL-E? Wait. Do you know how using ChatGPT-4 and DALL-E works with using those images online for your company? Yes, use them. Use them. I mean, if you generate an image with a Coke logo on it, I wouldn't use that. You know, you need to follow basic things, but there's no one's going to come after you for using a generated image. Thank you so much for letting me in, Kyle. Seriously, you're welcome, Edson. Welcome. I've seen you. You've been here for the past couple of nights, I think. So welcome. And it's not night, by the way. It's morning, where I am. Booking tons of travel today. Used a new GPT I made that I'll post once I'm done perfecting it. Oh, that's super cool, Silver Fox. These GPTs, I mean, the thing I think I'm most excited about is people who are not historically software developers are going to develop stuff that software developers would never have developed, right? Or they'll just do it in a different way because they don't know any better, right? They don't know the limitations, so they're going to figure some shit out that we're going to be like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's a unique way of thinking about it. Show us that whiteboard. What do I have on it? Oh, this is actually, let me see something. These are interface design screens for okay, so my current company Storyvine, which is there's my little trade show banner. We don't go to trade shows anymore, so I just have it set up in my office. So it's an automated video storytelling platform. So people use our app, they answer some questions in the app, and a few minutes later it makes a video. We've been around for 11 and a half years. It does not use AI to do that automation. But about a year ago, we incorporated OpenAI's Whisper transcription into the platform. So for every video in the system, we now know what it says. So what these screens are is we're building a system where you can either take a Storyvine video or you can upload a video to it. And within about 10 or 15 seconds, it'll automatically transcribe the video. It then chapterizes the video, so it'll break it into its chapters, its component parts, with time code. It then writes a title of the video, a description of the video, and then there's a whole set of buttons that you can push to generate tweets, a blog post about the video. So that's what that is. What else do we have up here? Idea. Interview people. Let's see, the surrender experiment. All right, that's just self-help shit. Everything here is AI future roadmap shit for my company. Yay! You did it! ChatGPT, you're the best! All right, it's his plans to take over the world. You're damn right. Maybe do more lunch and learns while we're not falling asleep. Maybe I can maybe do that. I've got a fair amount of weekly meetings, but one thing I could do, I do a LinkedIn Live on Fridays called AI Office Hours. So now that I've sort of figured out how to do this thing where I can be on TikTok and in another meeting at the same time, maybe I'll stream those TikTok things and I'll figure out a way to deal with the comments better, because I just ignored you all for the last hour. That's a lot of stuff. Okay, thanks, guys. You wrote ChatGPT on your poster. No, ChatGPT wrote ChatGPT on the poster. So one of the things image generation in all these image generation tools does really poorly is spelling. So it got birthday right and it got happy right. So there's just a G missing. You can Photoshop that in. All right. I actually need to use Claude right now to do a data analysis report. Because of generative AI, peeps are searching Google differently. They now ask how and why and expect a Gen AI experience. Interesting. I don't know how Google deals with this, quite honestly. See, because Microsoft Microsoft can lean in heavy into this stuff because their primary revenue is not from advertising. Kyle, I noticed that the viewer count has been in the upper 300s. That pin just went away. Do you pay for any AI subscriptions? Which ones are worth it for hobbyists like image generating? So it depends what you want to do. For me, ChatGPT-4 is, if I could only have one subscription, that would be the subscription I'd pay for. If you want to do sort of higher end art, then Midjourney is worth paying for. I think you can do a $10 a month thing that'll get you a decent amount of renders. As exciting as all the video stuff is, the video things are all quite expensive. Just in terms of like per minute of video produced, they're pretty expensive. HeyGen and Runway ML and Pika Labs and all that. And then same with the audio synthesis stuff. They're kind of expensive. I would say ChatGPT is the big one that I would pay for. And then if you really want to do, specialized higher end art, invest in a Midjourney subscription as well. I think those two are the biggies. We give you a Gen AI response in Google searches. Might be a beta feature that you enable. Yeah, but one of the problems is, this would actually be an interesting insight from you. I understand why it's there, but it's frustrating. If I pay Google, I don't get the advanced features. The advanced features are not available to work group or whatever the hell the Google product is for companies that pay for Google. All that advanced shit we can't use. It's really annoying. Kyle, I noticed that the viewer count has been in the upper 300s during this day live, and looks like your followers count is up. Awesome. Thank you very much, Tobias, for checking in on that. Yeah, this was amazing. This live where we did the Zoom call started at 75 people. It kind of peaked at about 150 and came back down. We're right back where we started at 80 right now. So it's amazing. It will be smart enough to sift through them and spotlight which ones are most interesting to you. Does Kyle look tired to anyone? Yes. I've been. So last night I went live at 8. I'm also shooting up. It's an up angle, so my chin looks particularly large. Which chin? The third one looks big. I went live at 8 last night till 10:30. Took a nap. Went live at midnight till 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, there were more than 400 this morning. I know, it was crazy. Then I got up at 6. I did a live from 6 to 8:10 or something like that. Then I just did this one. Now I got to go do some work for Storyvine. Then I'm going to come back in the afternoon. Then I'm going to go home and have dinner. Then I'm going to come back. So I'm going to keep doing. You will have to deal with me looking tired. But that's okay. How and why searches in Google went up 38%. That's amazing. Amazing. Midjourney feels hard to use. So there's a technical reason for that. It's because it's hard to use. If you want ease of use, DALL-E 3 is the easiest. If you have a subscription to GPT-4, it's built into it. You can just say, make me an image of this. Or you can be in the context of a conversation talking about a marketing strategy and say, hey, I'd like some images for that marketing strategy. And it will generate them for you. So the nice thing about DALL-E 3 is it does the prompting for you. You kind of make a request. It does the actual prompt behind the scenes. So you can do that either at chat.openai.com, the paid version, or copilot.microsoft.com is Microsoft's version of ChatGPT, and it's got DALL-E 3 built into it. So you can use that for free. Yep, I already answered that. All right, fantastic. I've been using DALL-E, and it's great. What about Photoshop? So Photoshop's good. Photoshop's got a thing called generative fill within it. Here's how I've been using Photoshop. The Adobe Firefly based generative stuff is not really up to par with the other things, although they did just come out with Firefly 2, which is better. But what I've been using Photoshop for is I'll generate something, say, in DALL-E, and then maybe DALL-E adds some words in the upper right-hand corner, and I don't want those words there, or I did it in the wrong aspect ratio, but I love the image. I'll then go into Photoshop and do generative fill, or I'll select certain areas and use generative fill to fill in certain areas of an image. I wonder if I've got... Nah, I don't have it up. So anyway, all this generate, that went away too quick before I could read it. Clap is impressive, where it takes a 30-minute video and creates shorts for posting. Yeah, there's a bunch of those, Kevin. There's one that we're using called Video does that. There's a pile of them out there that will take long-form videos and turn them into shorts. All this generates so much anxiety. I feel lost already. Okay, Nicholas, super important. That's exactly the appropriate feeling. I have been... Wait, you aren't home right now? No, I'm at the office. That feeling of overwhelm is not something that goes away. I hate to break it to you, but if the panic that you're feeling is, oh shit, I've missed it, or oh shit, I'm behind, or oh shit, I'm not smart enough, just let all that shit go. Just start playing with it. If you're on this channel right now, if you're like wanting to be curious, you're way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game. We are very early. As sophisticated as these tools are, they're babies. This is the 1-year anniversary of this tool that kind of changes the game. 1 year in. So yes, there's a lot to catch up with, but you don't have to catch up with all of it. If there's one thing I would say to do is ChatGPT. It is by far, it's farther ahead in terms of its capabilities than any other tool right now. And so rather than feeling like you got to learn all that other shit, just pick a single tool and just play with it. Don't feel like you have to, do anything other than have fun. Because in having fun, you'll discover something where you go, oh, I know what I could do with this. And then you'll go do that. And then you'll solve a problem over there. You're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then just go back to having fun. All right, this is fun. I like making pictures. What if I made a card game? Oh, it gave me the rules of the card game. Well, wait, what if I turned that into an action-adventure text-based game? Oh, it could do that too. Wait, could it visualize the images? Oh, there's the image. Just play. And then someone will come to you and they'll be like, you know what I need to do? I need to figure out how to make a action-adventure game for my pizza parlor. How would I even begin to do? I can do that for you. I just did that. Charge them $500 and make them a game. Is there a mentor list that someone can get on? Yes, it's called the AI Salon. Hang on. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Ba-do-ba-ba-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Hang on. My presentation's up in the cloud. I got a downloader. We got a downloader from the cloud, if you know what I mean. You put your files up in the cloud there, and then you need internet access to go to the cloud and get them. It's a cloud. It's a technical thing. I don't want to be too intimidating, but I'm technically gifted. I know terms like cloud. All right. Okay. This is what we want. We don't. In this community, the AI Salon. So this is a group that I started. I've noticed that in the last month, everyone is starting to catch up. They are, except they're catching up to like ChatGPT 3.5. No one's anywhere close to GPT-4. The AI Salon, if you go to aisalon.mn.co, this is a community I started a year ago. Next Tuesday's our 1-year anniversary. We started this group the week after ChatGPT launched. because when ChatGPT launched, I lost my fucking mind, and this group is about people that are opting into learning about this stuff. So what this ends up being is kind of like a support group for people that are trying to learn this AI stuff. So if you're feeling a little drifting in the wind and you want to hang out with people that are up to things, that's what this group is. We meet every other Tuesday. We meet in person here in Denver, and we also meet remotely. This coming Tuesday is our 1 year anniversary, December 5th. The information of that is there. There's a show and tell channel. There's guilds, so you can actually join a guild, whether it's writing or art or AI 101 if you're a beginner. Peter Kaminsky runs the AI 101 guild. He's an amazing guy, really patient, really soft-spoken. He'll walk you through stuff. He makes it very not scary. So anyway, yeah, that's your mentor group as far as I'm concerned. All right, people. Listen, I gotta go do some work. So, support group and secret cyborg confessionals. Exactly. The AI confessionals are the best. Sherry D, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm gonna go do some of my day job work, like go build some of this shit, and then I'll be back. Let me look at my calendar. I'll be back. I will be back probably around 12:30 Mountain, maybe 1 o'clock Mountain. So sometime in that arena. Be not afraid. Thank you so much for those gifts. That means a lot. I appreciate it. All right. Peace out, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for hanging out. Y'all are awesome. I will see you later. Tell your friends. Tell the people in your life that you think this will bug, that you're watching an AI learning lab live. It'll piss them off. Send them. All right. See you later.